So by now, if you were looking into the news of anime and stuff yesterday, you probably have heard the news. You probably have heard that Funimation and Hulu is teaming up and forming a partnership. Now, many that have been keeping up to date with Funimation's recent endeavors and what's been going on with streaming services and all of that, you probably can already understand what this means. But on the off chance you don't know, I'm here to clarify kind of what's going on for everybody can stay on the same track and understand what this means for people that either, have Hulu, have Funimation, or don't have either, or have one, whatever. I'm here to explain. So, to kind of backtrack for a second, recently, about like a month or so ago, or about maybe almost 2 months, I talked about in a video where Funimation severed its ties with Crunchyroll. And it was a very big deal. And the reason why it was a big deal was because Funimation and Crunchyroll, since, honestly, the dawn of anime streaming, since, I have been in anime, at least started watching everything, being a YouTuber and all of that, Crunchyroll and Funimation have always been these big companies, at least in the anime community. I think everybody can agree with that. We can be on the same page and understand that these two individual corporations are something that, has always been there. And when they finally partnered up, around, last year, they partnered together, it was a big move. You're like, whoa, Funimation, Crunchyroll coming together to form a partnership, to have both of their catalogs on one place. It's incredible. And it meant if you had a Crunchyroll subscription, you could still access Funimation stuff on Crunchyroll, and if you had a Funimation subscription, you can access the Crunchyroll stuff on Funimation. It was like a back and forth thing. It was a great partnership, and it made everybody happy. They didn't have to have two separate subscriptions to be able to watch the seasonal anime. And the reason why people thought this was a good thing was because at the time, you had these big giants coming in. You had Amazon coming in. You had Netflix coming in. Hulu was already around, obviously, but it was never really as big as Funimation or Crunchyroll. They couldn't grab as many licensed things. But, Amazon and Netflix finally dipping into these endeavors of anime, it probably made it hard for these companies to start snagging anime as easily as they did in the past, because anime is starting to become mainstream. Well, fast forward until recently, like a month ago, like I said, Funimation and Crunchyroll disconnected. Their partnership, it's over. And it's concerning because many are like, why? Why would you do this? Well, if you did not hear over the summer, Funimation is now owned by Sony. And Crunchyroll, if you're unaware of, is owned by AT&T. Now, just in case you don't understand here, AT&T and Sony, they're kind of rival companies, and so obviously having a partnership, it's probably not in their best interest. It's not. They want to make more money, and they don't want to work with another company like Sony and AT&T. They don't have a partnership like that. So obviously, it was severed. That partnership was severed because of their backgrounds, and I feel like after seeing this situation with what's going on with Hulu, it makes this even more obvious now. It's never been clarified that is the reason, I just want to say that, but it's very obvious now with seeing Funimation teaming up with Hulu. It makes a lot more sense now. The reason why Funimation, or aka Sony, separated from Crunchyroll was because Crunchyroll was owned by AT&T. Now, getting into the Hulu stuff. Now, the relevant stuff that came out yesterday, the reason what makes it so interesting and why it's obvious now why Funimation would partner with Hulu is because Hulu is now owned by Disney. At least 60% of Hulu is owned by Disney, thanks to the recent stuff that's been going on this past year or so, where Disney, buying Fox out. They own a lot of stuff now. They own a lot of media, and Hulu is one of those type of companies that was owned already by Disney and Fox. Disney already owned 30% of Hulu, and Fox owned 30% of Hulu, so you gotta imagine, soon as Disney finally gains control of Fox, completely, it gains 60% control over Hulu, which, there you go. So, effectively, Hulu is owned by Disney. So, now you're probably wondering, okay, so what does this mean? Disney owns Hulu, Sony owns Funimation. Well, Disney and Sony, they have a good relationship. They've always kind of had a good relationship for a very long time. You've always been able to see it if you look online for it, but they have a good relationship. So, seeing this type of partnership between Hulu and Funimation, it makes perfect sense. Disney is trying to get into the whole streaming service. They're trying to make their own service. Obviously, owning Fox and all that, getting in good with Funimation probably will open up the door maybe for future endeavors for anime to come their way, maybe translations for them, and then Funimation could eventually get into that sweet revenue of what Disney gets. So, most likely, the reason what's going on here, why it's happening, is because Hulu and Funimation, since they're owned by their parent companies, Sony and Disney, good relationship, that's why it's happening. Now, what does this mean for us, the consumer, people that, get streaming anime through Hulu, Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever? Well, number one, that means if you have, let's say, a Funimation account, you will get the content from Hulu. Vice versa. If you have a Hulu account, you will get the content from Funimation. That's what this partnership basically means. It's very similar to the partnership that Crunchyroll had with Funimation. It's kind of like that. And so, in a way, this is good. This is a good deal. And this makes it to where the consumer, they can have access to both subscriptions for the price of one. So, it makes it easier. However, in a lot of ways, though, I am a little bit concerned about this, because you gotta also remember that Disney is going to be making its own streaming service. And if it is true that Disney formed this partnership because it was Sony basically owning Funimation, then that would mean that once Disney finally makes their streaming service, Hulu is probably going to become obsolete. Disney will probably make its, partnership, like it'll make its streaming service or whatever, and it'll form a partnership with Funimation and Hulu maybe. Maybe it might make a trifecta or something, who really knows, but they'll probably have, like, a partnership with their Disney streaming service and completely kind of throw away Hulu. Who really knows? But, yeah, for now, though, that's pretty much the news going on. Hulu is partnered with Funimation, Funimation partnered with Hulu, and that is probably the reason why. Now, this isn't 100% confirmed, but, I mean, when you know how companies work and how Hulu's out owned by a certain percentage and how Sony owns Funimation, it all points to the same end, if you think about it. But I want to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.